Okay, welcome to the FME World Tour for Perth. Good to see you all here. I will say right now, biggest numbers out of everyone around the country, so well done to everyone. In there. A few things for today. We're going on to FME Exploring. So on your desk, there's something for you there, which is the Zipster. Okay, you'll be able to get him out and have a play around later on. But basically, we're here to learn all about the new release of FME 2013, both for desktop and server. Get some tips on best practice. Obviously, meet and have a bit of a networking session for those in the community that use and do things with FME as well. And enjoy some food and prizes throughout the day as we go through. We've got the FME Family Fortune game show coming up later on after lunch. So something to look forward to. It's been well received around the country and over in England as well. But just as a quick intro around the room, my name's Brett Madsen. I'm the Regional Director for One Spatial. A lot of you may have met me through doing training courses, sales pitches, past user forums around the place. With me is Andrew, one of our technical guys. Up the back is Hamish, and who's in our sales team, and Kathy, who's another one of our technicians who some of you may have met previously as well. As said, the Zipster's there, so you'll get to see him pop up throughout the day. I will say you'll get to see him with a little feature later on that I'm sure Don and Dale will cover as part of their presentation. So without delaying them, because they're over there in office hours over in Vancouver, you guys get the treat this year of having Don and Dale present to you. We did the single event last year, so we threw it up in the air this year. I said, look, Perth misses out on a lot of stuff around this area, getting people here through this isolated city. So what better could we do for you guys than bring you the two founders of Safe Software, Don Murray and Dale Loop. So just give me 2 seconds, just do a quick transformation. That side. And I'll hand over to the guys.
Okay.
Good day.
Okay, thanks, Brett. Yep.
Are you hearing us down there?
Yeah, all good.
Oh,
okay. Well.
Yeah. Well, welcome. It's about 10 to 7 in the evening in Vancouver.
Yeah, but we just ate supper, so we're good for a long time.
That's right. We can go till midnight because we don't have any other plans for the rest of the day.
There is a hockey game that we are giving up to watch this, though.
That's right. But it's keeping PVR. So.
Right. So, anyway, welcome. Thank you all for turning out. It's a privilege to present to you all the way across, really halfway around the world.
That's right.
And so we're trying some new technology today, and thank you for your patience.
Yep.
So we got a few things we're going to be doing. First, Don is going to give a quick overview into FME itself, and then we're going to roll in from there to literally we're going to roll in.
We're going to hit the road.
Hit the road
Yep.
with a fun set of demonstrations.
Yep.
After that. So take it away, Don.
Okay, and Dale's gonna be the color guy.
Yes.
Okay, to keep this exciting. So here we go. Oh, what do I do? I click.
Probably click.
Okay. It's not. I'm using Dale's computer, so this is actually very exciting for me. I see. Anyway, I'm not gonna look there. It's kind of dizzy.
Brett is distracting us.
Okay, so the first thing is an introduction to desktop. So we know that at all these world tours, there's some people who come to learn about FME, so they don't even know what it is. So we're going to spend a few minutes just going over what FME is and how easy it is to use.
Right.
So the first thing is, though, you have to remember.
Remember what?
To pay attention, because there will be a chance to prove your attentiveness during the recap session. Okay. I expect that it really won't matter if you pay attention. Oh, I see a hand. That it really won't matter if you pay too much attention, but it's always better to pay attention.
Right.
Yeah. And we're going to try to keep you awake, because we learned that an audience that is awake learns more than an audience that is asleep. So there you go. And we're having Big Macs all around here, so we're good. Okay. Okay, but first, a movie.
They won't be able to hear the sound that goes with this. Actually, look at that.
Awesome. This is what happens when you take Star Wars music and Superman music and you blend it together.
We spared no expense on this movie.
That's right. Okay.
My son's high school band did that, actually.
Is that right, Ed?
Yeah, it was great.
Awesome.
All right.
There we go. And
Wow.
look at that. Now, is that high tech or what? And we are not going to spend the whole day talking about XML, although everybody knows how much I like it.
It gets its own bubble on this diagram.
That's right. And those bubbles are all the different types of data that FME can handle. So in the early days, we started off with CAD to GIS, and we've been adding more and more different data types as time's gone on.
Yes.
Some of the newer types are point cloud, so we're doing
Yeah.
a lot of stuff with point cloud. So that's 3D laser scan data. And there's another type of cloud on this diagram, which is new.
Cloud.
Cloud.
Is an internet cloud.
Yeah, as an internet cloud. So
things like Salesforce, for example,
that's right.
which
Yeah.
is an online CRM, or some of the Google Fusion tables, some of that data that lives out there is in this thing. So this diagram here says that we support more than 300 formats now. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And with FME, it's not so, people try to think of us as a format guy, so, read data, write data, but really it's what happens in the middle that's the key. And with FME now, there's 400 different transformations.
I actually think it's closer to 500. We might be being good Canadians and underselling ourselves here.
That's right. So, and these are just some of the industry companies that recognize SAFE and work with SAFE, to rely on us to get data either into their technology, out of their technology. Some companies like MapInfo and Esri, they've actually branded some of our technology and put it right in.
Autodesk has been using some of our stuff since, I think, the year 2000.
Yeah.
MapInfo since '99.
Yeah.
In all these products, we are the gateway in and out between their products and a whole bunch of other different data formats.
Yeah, and Socrata, that's another example of one of these cloud-based systems. Yeah.
I think Brett was saying in Australia there's an open source thing like Socrata called CNAC, or what was it called? No, Brett will know.
Yeah, and of course, right now we have two products. We have FME Desktop and FME Server. So we're going to walk through FME Desktop because it's the gateways to whether you're using desktop or server, because at the end of the day, what you have to do is author one of these flows that defines how data moves from the start to the destination.
So FME at a high level is all about data moving from wherever it is to wherever you want it to be. And on the desktop, you use this tool called FME Workbench to author those data flows graphically.
Yeah. And to use it, the nice thing is you don't have to write code. But you do have to understand your data model, so that's the thing there. But then graphically, you just connect things, and we are going to give you a demo in a minute. Okay, and so really, FME is not about format. Format is like the keys to the car. It's not about getting in the car and starting it. It's about where you're going, and that's what FME is all. You like that? I got all the car because we're going to talk about cars. I just made that up.
Yes.
Yeah, you probably know. Anyway, yeah. So what this diagram here talks about, uses the electricity model. And to show that, it's not just about getting the electricity to the device. Here we have a light bulb that wants 110. If you're in Europe, you got 220.
I think in Australia they have 220 as well.
They have 220 as well.
I think I remember an unfortunate burning out incident in Australia.
Yeah. And so you need a transformer, and an FME has many transformers.
Yes.
And again, it's all about transforming the data model.
What we say is that the format is really the plug adapter.
Yes.
And if you adapt the plug, as I found out on my last trip visiting Brett, that isn't quite enough sometimes.
That's right.
There was an unfortunate curling iron incident. It wasn't my curling iron.
Okay.
No. It was not my curling iron.
Okay, good. Yes, I haven't used it.
It was yours, actually.
That's right. Okay, so there's many different types of transformations, of course. There's simple attribute transformations. So this is taking an address, maybe ripping it apart into different fields or combining it. And more we're seeing customers use FME for non-spatial data. So one of the things we're working on, I'm not supposed to talk about it, but is SP2. Well, I guess I can talk about SP2.
Why not?
Is Excel. And
Yes.
so you're going to see, and you're going to see when we start demonstrating the new data inspector as well, that there's a big emphasis on the non-spatial data, whether it's associated with spatial or not. And the second type, of course, is a type that we've grown up with, and that's all around geometric transformations, building polygons, chopping lines, clipping, overlays, a whole bunch of things like that. And then raster and point cloud as well. So as we add, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that at least in Don's and my next hour and a half with you or so, we aren't going to talk too much about rasters and point clouds today, but FME has a very capable raster and point cloud subsystem in it that should not be sold short. And don't, if you're interested in that sort of thing, FME really can provide a lot of solutions.
Yeah, and in those the stories from around the world, the truck from around the world, there's some good raster and point cloud stories there as well.
And
So
Brett will point out to you that I did one day say that FME would never do raster, and I had to eat my words.
that's
And
right.
pretty much every time I see Brett.
That's right. And so that's one of the things when you add a new data type, along with that data type comes a bunch of operations that need to be done. So we're working on BIM and 3D now.
Yeah.
And so then there's things like, is this 3D building, does it have holes in it?
And actually, can we, if this 3D object isn't quite sealed up, can we detect that it's got air leaks in it?
Yeah.
And can we snap it together? These are the kind of things on the advanced 3D side, particularly being pushed by folks in Europe around that. Not so much in North America.
Yeah, because it'd be hard to calculate the volume of a building that wasn't closed.
Right.
Okay, so these are just some of the transformations, just showing how you can move from one data model to another. So you can see there we're renaming some attributes, we're mapping different values from one value to another, and you can see on the input side there, primary overhead, and then how that was being changed to a primary conductor. A lot of the attributes were thrown out.
Right.
We renamed attributes, and then we mapped other attributes.
On the coordinate system side, I know in Australia long ago we added support for GDA, or was that pronounced G'day? 94, I think, GDA, as well as the going to and from the AGD, I think 66 and 80 something. I don't remember the details, but that kind of transformation on the datum side in FME, and actually in FME 2013, that's been greatly more power in there as well.
Yeah.
That might be of interest to some of you. If you're into coordinate systems, that's a very serious part of what we do. And again, I don't think we talk about it at all today.
No.
But
and you have more control now in 2013.
Way more control than you ever had.
Yeah. So I guess it's time for a demo now.
I can't wait to see it.
I can't wait to use your computer.
Yeah,
okay.
This computer has never run this demo.
Okay, so this is good. So I think I go like this.
Swipe.
And hopefully.
Click, and with luck, there you are.
There we go. Okay, so I'm going to fire up a workbench here. And the first thing we've done, and as I go along, I'm going to try to keep this. We're going to try to keep this interesting for users who've used FME before.
Hey, there's a picture of us on the screen there, Don.
That is really weird.
it's
showing my best side. Okay. Okay. The first thing we've done is now.
You're dragging a .zip on there.
I'm dragging a .zip on there.
Oh wow, you're a wild man.
And I got to tell it what it is. And this is new in FME, CSV. You can actually look at files that are compressed, so you no longer have to uncompress them. And this is, for a lot of formats, they're a collection of files, say shape files, map info files, geodatabase files. Now you can get a zip file, and away you go. And you can see the data types there, so that's what I'm going to do. And you can see the attributes are there. And of course, I can send that to the data inspector.
But there's no geometry yet, Don.
That's okay. In 2012, I would have cared.
Right.
But in 2013, you can say, I don't care about geometry anymore. Well, you'd never say that. But,
well, no,
but you could.
So what are you going to do now?
Because we're just going to go there like that. And
wow.
Look at that. It actually, opened up in table view. Was that just purely an accident?
No. Basically, if you use the data inspector and you send data there that has no geometry, we will default to opening it as a table view, as we should.
That's right. That's right.
And you can sort that if you click on one. Does it sort? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff. So finally, we have a good table view. That's only been asked for around 10 years, and so we do deliver.
Yeah, and you can filter too, which I really like. So you could go data MMSI.
Oh yeah, you've done this. What are you looking for?
Oh, I don't want to do that one. I want to do message type. MMSI, it's too many numbers. So I'll go message type, because then I can go contains 1, and then you'll see there's a bunch that have 1, and then contains 3. And anyway, you can start to see how this is very, very useful. So that's a big deal for
understanding what your data is.
Exactly, because really when you're starting, that's the first thing you do is you want to look at your source data and then work up from there. So as Dale pointed out, there was some longitude and latitude, and this is really where you get into the data model part of FME, transforming the data model. So for example, I want to create 2D points. So you just type.
So you can't see it, but he's actually typing on the keyboard there.
Yeah, and it automatically searches. Do you even use that transformer gallery?
No. Over on the, I guess, let's see, their left, our left, is a transformer gallery that lists, I guess there it says 437. I thought it was closer to 500, but it might be 2014.
Yeah.
But anyway, this lists all of these blue transformations that are available, and really the key to using FME productively is knowing which transformation to use. And so we try to make that easy for you by letting you look at little guidebooks and search, but really searching the gallery and just typing on there. Actually, if you type on there and hit tab, it searches too. Do you show that now?
I didn't, but I could. Like I could type buffer, and then I could hit tab, and then you can see as I hit tab, it searches for, so different
More
guys
things.
pop up. So you
Yes.
can, yeah.
Yeah. So that's searching the help for the keyword, or it's searching the thing. So now there's a red exclamation mark, and that's a clue that something is a bit amiss.
That's right. So I haven't specified what the latitude and the longitude is. So I'll set to an attribute value. So I'll set the X to long. Is it the same in Australia too?
Is it that way? And is the X longitude in Australia? We were going to do a joke where we were upside down.
I know. We were going to have the camera upside down and say,
Yeah.
oh.
But you've all seen that joke, so it
Yeah,
wouldn't
you're
even be
probably
funny.
sick and tired of listening to it.
Okay, so now you've got geometry there,
So now I'm going to run again.
and what's going to happen?
Now we're going to actually see
Whoa!
points.
There's a bunch of points.
Yeah, and it looks like tracks. So it looks like we should be able to connect these together.
Okay.
And so we're going to do that. But this is where the data inspector comes in really nice, because I can go back to table view even on those guys. And you can see that this data MMSI, oh, and I can double click here and it makes it's not sorted. And this is the guy I need, because I need to glue them together by this MMSI and the sequence number. So I got to sort. So then I just add a sorter down here.
So as long as he's got the link highlighted, when he types the new one, it goes in there.
That's right. And so now I can sort by MMSI, and that's a number, ascending, and sequence number, and numeric. And so you can get the idea here that we're gradually now, what we're doing is reassembling the data to match what we...
So you're going to connect things together now?
Yeah, so now we've sorted. Now we can connect the points together with a point connector. And we'll take the line, and again, it would run, but when it's yellow, it really means you really should. Sort of like running a yellow light, you know, you're kind of taking your
You
chances.
can get away with it, but maybe you shouldn't.
But maybe you shouldn't. So I'm just going to say whenever the MMSI changes in the sequence number. No, not the sequence number. Yeah, that would be too aggressive. Okay, but the data inspector would have showed us. So whenever the MMSI, which is the vessel track number, essentially, this is AI, this is boat data.
Data of boats.
Data of boats. And so now you can see we have the long, nice tracks of the...
Can you split this a little wider? Sure enough, it tells us there in the parentheses how many features you got.
Yeah.
So that's good.
So that's really good. And also in the links here also tell us. And I'll put another inspector here. Now the last thing I'm going to do, and then we'll call our quits, because we could go here all day, is I want to join it to a database.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the database we're going to use is, we could use many, many different types of databases. So, but I want to use SQLite.
Okay. So SQLite is a lightweight open source database. If you're using an iPhone, you're using SQLite. It's embedded in all kinds of things, and we've added read and write support in FME. It's nice because you can put a single database in a file and then give it to your friends.
Then
and
you can
share
also put, if you put geometry into it, it's called
Spatial
Light.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we do that as well.
So now I'm going to pick a table, and I want the vessel database.
Okay.
Okay.
Nuclear vessels.
Nuclear vessels. Okay. So now I'm going to join on that MMSI.
So what Don's doing is
number,
taking that data that's going by,
and,
it's going to go out to the database and make a connection, and the key field is MMSI.
That's right. That's right. And I want to join it to, MMSI number. They made that easy, didn't they?
Right.
And then basically, that's all I'm going to do.
You're good. It's one to many, or
I'm going to go like that. I'm always a little bit.
I think one to many is not a good default.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So then, now I'm going to see it there, and now we want to be able to see the difference. And so basically we do that. So now we'll see before and after the join. I run it again, and now up pops the viewer again. And this time I'm going to have 3 themes.
So all along while that Don's been doing this, he hasn't even told us what output format he's going to. Basically, his goal was to start with this point data in a text, or it was a CSV file that was zipped up, and he wanted to glue it together and make something interesting. And I don't even know what GIS he's planning to go to.
Yes, exactly.
So what is he doing now?
Now I'm just showing, so this is the original points. Now this is before the join. So if I click on here, you'll see that I have, you can see that I have a few.
Some attributes.
But I don't have like vessel name, for example.
Vessel name.
Vessel name.
Okay.
But if I go here and I click on one.
There is a new Star Trek movie coming out. That's why I'm saying that. Okay, this has only 3 records.
Right. So we're did my, okay.
Which one are you on?
I must be, oh, maybe it didn't work.
Oh, we didn't choose what fields to add.
Oh, we didn't, that's what we didn't
But-
do. See, it's always a user error. That's right, I got so excited. I should have chosen,
Somewhere here,
look at that,
fields to add or none.
So none, it was fast though. It was really
Add
fast.
nothing.
Yes, there we go. And
Okay.
there we go. So we won't grab those two, but we're going to grab vessel name.
Okay.
Eventually, I would have come back in here. See, that's why it's so good doing this with you next
Yeah,
week.
that's right.
Yeah. Okay. So now we go back. It's going to run again. Now it's done the join. So now I go, whoops, now I go here. And when I go back to there and I click on one, now we will see.
Well, there's
vessel,
way more
yeah,
attributes.
and there's vessel name right there. So you can see
Oh.
we've added a bunch of Chesapeake, Oregon Voyager, all good stuff.
It worked. I'm glad to see that it worked.
That's right.
Now,
So-
now, what if you actually wanted to save this, or do you do that in this demo?
Save the workspace?
No, save the data into something
Yeah, we
useful.
can do that. Yeah, we can stop here. Or well, since you asked, what do you want to go to File Geodatabase?
Sure, why not?
Okay, so we'll go to File
So that's something that's new.
Geodatabase.
Yep.
Now there's two different geodatabase APIs here. Do you have them both?
Nope, because I don't have ArcGIS.
Oh, okay.
So if I had ArcGIS, I would have the choice of going to ArcObjects-based file geodatabase, but I don't. So all I can do is the so-called API version, which was new last year, I guess.
Yep.
works
So now where do you
fine.
want me to put this on your?
Ah, that's fine.
Okay, and I'll give it a name. We'll call it "This is fine."
Yeah,
Okay,
that's lovely.
is that good?
Sure. And we'll
Okay.
see what happens.
Okay, we'll go like that.
Now you must. Oh,
I'm
then
going
he's
to say no,
Oh,
and I'm just going to duplicate this on Writer.
yeah.
Put this guy over
Whoop.
here. Well,
Yeah.
I don't want him connected there, but I'm going to connect them
After the
this-
joiner.
after the sorter.
Really?
I'm going to do two tables. I'm going to
Okay.
show off. I'm gonna
Okay,
show
right.
off here, and the geometry here is point,
Yeah.
and good enough. Oh,
Yeah. Ah, kill those two.
yeah, kill those two.
Right.
guys.
Okay.
And so now when I run it, I'll have one, and then, heck, we're going to go for the gusto. I'm going to now create a new add feature type like this, and we'll call this guy vessel track,
I know what
and
he's
we'll
going to do.
say, we're going to
There's
say
lines in there.
polyline there. I'm going to say okay, and put this guy here, grab this guy like this, and then
There's
gonna,
no attributes yet, Don.
I'm going to go copy attributes from transformer,
Off
and
the
I'm gonna-
joiner, I
off
bet.
the joiner. Okay, and then let's see what we got. We'll remove a few.
Well, they're looking good.
Yeah, so
I don't know. All those first AIS ones might not be useful, but
that's okay.
okay.
I'll get rid of this guy. Okay.
All right.
Okay, and now we run, and in theory,
Because we spent lots of time practicing this.
yes, exactly.
Hey, it's done.
And we don't care about that
We don't
guy
care.
anymore.
One thing
but
to show them is the right click to say open containing folder. Do you know about that?
I did, but you know what? I wasn't even going to do that.
Well,
But that is so much better than what I was going to do. That. Open containing folder. There
There
it
it
is.
is.
It should be near the top. But anyway,
This is fine.
and that's it.
Right.
So now I can drag that into
The data inspector if you wanted to,
like that.
and it'll go and
No, let go.
yeah,
I might not-
that should be fine.
Yeah, it's the same. And then it's
Okay.
going.
We're a little nervous
There
because
we
we didn't
go.
try this.
I'm gonna
Okay.
turn it off. And there. And
Hey,
now
it's the
this
same.
is the.
Yeah, it's good.
Yep.
I
Yep.
declare we're done.
Yeah, that's right. So that just gives a very quick example of how you use FME desktop. And now, of course, I could put this anywhere. I can save it and give it to my friends. I can put it on server, and away we go.
See, that
So
the interesting thing that Don has often said that when you're using FME, format is irrelevant
it is.
because we really didn't care what
I
output
wasn't
format
really sure where we were going until we got
the last
there.
second.
So
So that's
hopefully
good.
you know where. Yep. So now I guess I swipe this.
Yep. And we're back.
And we're back.
I'm not sure if it was warp speed, but I did get the nuclear Wessel line in. So
That's right. So that's all
You
good.
got to click in there though. That's
Okay.
that's the trick.
Okay.
And then you're good. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, we're done that part.
Wow, that worked well.
Good.
Okay.
So should we change spots?
I guess we should. Are we just going right into the other spot?
we don't
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
yeah.
no
And
reason not to.
Can you? I hope people can see my can.
Is it Pepsi or
Yeah,
is it Coke?
it's a product placement.
Okay.
Okay, so now what are you going to do?
We're gonna do this hits the road thing.
Okay.
So we've got ourselves, Roger. We got 50 minutes to do this. Okay. We usually do it in about 75.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
So we will, we'll step it up a bit.
That's right.
They got all day, I guess.
That's right. And we got all night.
You guys have all day. We got all night. It should be all
That
good.
sounds like a song.
Yes.
Okay, so here we go.
Sort of like if you got the money, honey, I got the time.
There you
I do
go.
know that song. I could sing that for you. Okay.
Maybe later.
So
Yeah, when it comes to FME 2013, there's just so much to talk about that there's no way we could talk about it all. So what we've done is it would be like drinking out of a fire hose, really. And so what we've done is, how many updates were there?
I think there's 741.
Those are user significant ones, I think.
Yeah, actually there would be many thousands of actual updates. These are the ones that our judge, named Mark Ireland,
said were user significant.
Right. So we made a word graph out of all of them. And so this is a word graph by the frequency of the number of updates. And as you might expect, Workbench is where a lot of the action centers.
Yeah. Of course, I'm kind of upset by this diagram because I think XML got a bad deal. Because what they did for Workbench is anytime there's something about Workbench, they just put it in. They didn't say fix that menu, fix this menu. But XML is actually all over the place there.
Right.
Well, KML is XML. We all know that. It's even an OGC standard.
Yes.
That's a bit of a joke there.
Yes, yes.
XML templater is there. You got AIXM5. You have City GML.
I see just raw GML.
Raw GML.
There's a bit of vote splitting going on.
There is a bit, and so the point is we're spending a ton of time on all sorts of different technology.
Look at it. It looks like we worked on FME right here as well.
We did.
So I'm not sure what that's about. Actually, statistics calculator. I'm surprised how much action it got, but it has had a pretty big revamp.
And the installer too. That's the first thing people get exposed to, and we want to make that really good. So we spend a lot of time there as well.
So this is our splash screen. Actually, we should ask this audience, and we can see you a little bit. How many of you there have installed FME 2013 and are using it already? Let's see. Put up your hand if you're using FME 2013. There's an arm there. Okay. So is there a few of you? Looks like a few of you, but not many. Well, those of you that have, I'm sure have seen this splash screen, but how many have seen this splash screen here? Has anybody there seen this one? Was there one? Yeah,
there's
somebody?
There's an arm.
Give that person a spork, please.
Yeah, that's
two?
Right.
Two sporks?
Two sporks.
How many have seen this one? Anybody seen this splash screen? Doesn't look like anybody has.
Wow, I've seen them. I've seen all three.
Okay, so anyway, there's two. Basically, our artist always creates interesting 3D images that involve our lizard. Where's the lizard on this one, Don?
You see in the clouds down there.
Right.
Yeah.
So he always creates these, and then Don and I have to decide out of all the concepts which ones we like, and then the last few years we haven't been able to make up our mind.
That's right.
So we've been going with...
You notice how you use the singular there.
Our collective mind. Yes, our collective mind. So we've had some fun with that. We are always talking about how we make FME faster, and it is a quest that we really will never stop.
Yeah, that's right. You can always, no matter how fast something is, you can make it faster. And so at SAFE, as you know, if FME isn't faster, we won't ship it. So each release of FME has to be faster.
So this time around, we did a lot of work across all of our tests. It's an average of what? Well, all is 20%.
20%.
So your mileage may vary. Some things will be the same, but some things will be dramatically faster. Bottom line is that's something that we try very, very hard to do. We track it using these sophisticated graphs that look like people's blood sugar levels or something.
That's right. And you can tell when there's a bad test because immediately we bring it up. So
higher is good.
Yeah. So you can see the lower spike there that Dale's And so the next test, we identify the problem, and then the next build, we fix it. So
there's a few of these dips where some developer tries to pull a fast one.
And you can see what happens if you don't track this.
Yeah, because it just keeps going down and down and down and down.
Yeah.
Those of you that used FME 2007 know this.
That's right.
Because in FME 2007,
that was the bottom.
That was the bottom. And when we found out that our own pro services were still using 2006 GB, we knew we had a problem.
That's right.
And so we got serious about performance, and we clawed it all back.
And we're way ahead.
And by 2008, we got every bit back, and we're very far ahead now.
Yeah.
So this is the best case number of times faster that FME 2013 was than 2012. The best.
That's right. So it was 642 times faster.
Or I guess, would that be 64,000%?
Yep.
So that is a... It's not. I guess I wouldn't say that that's necessarily indicative of how it may be for you.
That's right.
So,
but is FME faster than a 2012 performance Tesla S?
Model S.
Model S.
Now I don't know. I know that there are some Model S reservations down in Australia, but Model S is a car made by this company called Tesla that started shipping in North America almost a year ago.
Yeah, and in Canada when? Just before
It's December,
Christmas?
yeah. And so Don and I used company funds to buy one
Yeah.
so that we could give this talk today.
That's
So,
right. That's right. And then we're going to have a grand prize winner.
But I know that none have been shipped to Australia yet due to that right-hand drive situation.
Right.
But they are about to start soon.
That's right, because Australia is actually switching to the other side so they can bring in Teslas.
So they can bring in Teslas. So anyway, this car goes pretty fast, but more importantly, the car has a REST API.
That's right. That's right.
And so this is the tie-in to our
Mars
space theme,
That's
which we
right.
haven't actually talked about our Mars theme at all.
Well, we saw those. We saw that we have Zipster, who's in the guy in the.
Did we tell the folks there that the Zipsters, the arms are movable?
But only once.
Only once.
Yeah.
So if you move them, that's it.
Yeah. And it was if you look on the bottom, it says it's from the bobblehead company. We thought that meant that they would be bobbleheads.
It's not. It's not a bobblehead.
Yeah,
If you
and
try to move that head, it'll snap
That's
off.
right. And it is a choking hazard.
Yes.
And I guarantee you, if you get that in your mouth, you will choke.
Yes.
So be careful.
Please don't. So anyway, Elon Musk is the founder and CEO of both Tesla and SpaceX.
That's right.
And so that's our tie-in, and he has this interesting line.
Yeah, he wants to die, but not on impact.
Right. So that's our tie-in. So the Tesla has a REST API, and we can click on this, and with luck, here it comes. And
There you go.
there's the REST API, which is unofficial, but does seem to work. And so we figured out how to use FME to talk to the car. But we're not actually going to track this Tesla here.
Yeah, that's a scary looking. I like the.
But here, look, it has chrome rims.
Wow.
Though I'm not sure if you
the
can see that in Australia.
with the Google Chrome logo.
That's right. It has chrome rims. This was shows what happens when you have unlimited funds. This was Larry Page's, and his friends did this to him on April Fools.
Okay.
I don't know. Do they have April Fools in Australia, or is it in November? The seasons might be switched around. I'm not sure. So anyway, now what we're going to do in the next little while that we've got is use the desktop of FME to and add some value to the movement of Tesla Model S cars. But this, if you might hate electric cars, I'm not sure if it's popular in Australia to hate them. It certainly is popular in North America to hate electric cars.
Well, in Texas anyway.
Texas and pretty much any place. Well,
Oklahoma too.
yeah.
Probably.
So, but hopefully you don't hate it everywhere in Australia. But if you do, the same techniques can be used to track, say, a Ford Escalade.
Yeah, or apparently a Buick has you can track them
Right.
now.
So, you know, something more, a Hummer,
Or an
anything
Nissan
with.
Leaf. Oops.
No, that wouldn't count.
That wouldn't count.
But anyway, you can track anything that's got a live sensor on it.
Yeah, and while we're doing this, we're going to highlight a lot of the new things about FME, because as you know, more and more data sources are going to the cloud. And so we're going to talk about the cloud, we're going to talk about JSON, we're going to talk about REST APIs. And how much special code did we write to talk to this Tesla?
We didn't write any.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, these two old geezers up here that you're talking to are the guys that actually did this work in our spare time.
That's right.
You know, over about, what, a 2-week period?
I can't remember.
Yeah. It was, and that was
it wasn't much time at all.
only, and so we didn't write any code. We just did this in our spare time.
Yeah.
And I think as we got closer to the World Tour starting, we increased in our dedication.
That's right.
But still, it
Yeah.
wasn't a lot of work to set this up. And so what we're hoping is that this will inspire you to use bits and pieces of the things we're showing to solve amazing problems of your
That's
own.
right. And while we're doing that, for each workspace, we also gave ourselves a 10 transformer limit. Now, there's one case where we break that,
Yeah.
but in all other cases, we're able to do everything with only 10 transformers per
Right.
workspace.
The other thing that we're showing here today is we're going to be running FME server in the cloud. So we're going to author things locally and then have them run out there in the cloud,
Yeah.
so that while the car is driving,
Yeah.
we can track its progress.
Yep. Yep.
So to recap,
Yeah, we have a Tesla and we have FME server.
yep. I'm just
Okay.
going to give the keys to Stephanie in a second, and she can go out and drive it. Take it for a drive.
Go get a Big Mac.
Drive downtown. Actually, we're going to need her to drive downtown and come back
That's right.
before we can end the presentation.
Yeah. And as Dale mentioned, we have FME server running in the cloud on Amazon Web Services. We also have a PostGIS database that's running in Amazon Web Services.
Now, there is fine print there in the blue star. I don't know if they can see it all the way in Australia. I can barely see it from here. But we don't care. Again,
Yeah, that's right. We don't care about the database.
no,
We
you
just-
can use whatever you want. Now, we're using PostGIS because it happens to be in our FME server
pass the
machine.
line, Yeah.
But you could use Google Fusion Tables. You could use anything, spatial light.
ArcGIS, whatever you want.
Yeah, we don't care.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be using these notifications, which is an advanced or a new concept in FME server, which really boils down to we're going to poke FME server with some information, and then FME server will do one or more things with that.
That's right. That's right.
So
that's right. And for this one, all the information about this demo is going to go. These are called topics. You can think of them like addresses. Every single piece of information is going to go into this topic called Tesla.
Right.
So if you had another one called graffiti for a graffiti workflow, you could have another one called graffiti.
So as the car's driving, we would be causing it to poke the topic called Tesla. Topic is the word used. We had another name. You said, what was the original name that was going to...
Like relayer?
Relay, kind of. It's going to go there, and then once it arrives, then the server will have it do various things, one of which would be to store the data in a database.
Yeah.
And that's topic idea or relay.
There you go. Yeah.
So yeah, how this really works is that when you're driving a Tesla car, Tesla's always tracking it, and they know where it is.
Yeah.
And so what we can do is write an FME workspace that just pokes the Tesla website
using the REST API
to get these things like the speed, the battery state, and the location, among other things. And then that post thing spins, and we write it there. That's what we're going to do.
And so you're going to show how to do that. Oh,
is that right?
And all messages are in JSON. You've heard about us go on and on and on and on and on about XML. And JSON, the stories is exactly the same there.
JSON is JavaScript object notation,
That's
and
right.
it really is the language of
JavaScript.
Of
the web, yeah.
So, should we go try to do this, Don?
Absolutely. Let's take a
All
look.
right, let's wake this thing up, and
let's look at this.
Let's take a look. So, let's go up here. We must be hitting the road, and let's go and pull the site for information. Now, normally when I would do this, I would say we have to get someone to drive the car. I could actually do that right now, but it would be hard to do the...
That's right. It'd be dangerous.
But really the point is, here's what we do. We log into the Tesla website here using an HTTP uploader.
Yep.
And in there we're going to put our username and password.
And then the target URL, that is the REST API call.
Yes. So if you're doing web services things with FME, this is what you do. We've just had some folks using this to hit other web services. We're going to show some of that a bit later.
Yeah.
Once we do the login, we can find out my vehicle ID.
Yep.
This is if in case I had more than one car.
That's right. And there was just another REST API call there.
Yep. And then we go and loop into this transformer, which is going to go out there. And if I was driving, it'll get, this goes out and asks, what's the drive state of this car? Is it driving? What speed is it going? And so on. And if it was driving, we'll go and find out how much juice is in the battery.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on with that. And so should I go ahead and run this, Don?
Yep. Run this. And it's just going to do one query right now.
Yes.
And you can see the REST calls there, and just go to those REST calls just quickly, and you can see one of the other new things in the log there. One of the other new things we've added in the logger is if there's a URL,
like I could click and send myself an email.
Yeah, so just click there. Yeah.
I don't know what'll happen on this computer.
Okay. Anyway, but you get the point. They're all URL. So if you have a URL string anywhere,
there,
yeah,
like these ones.
Yeah.
So I can go all the way to this Tesla login thing.
Yeah, that's right. You can click on it. Up pops a page, and then you get the login page, and then you can click on that. And,
right.
And basically,
so that is kind of a lame one, but
yeah.
So anyway.
But sometimes because you're working more and more with web data, quite often you'll get a URL, and you can click on it and just see what it's all about.
Right. So I wasn't driving, so it brought up this this thing here.
Yeah, and it says the speed was null, the shift state was null.
But this is the lat long, and that hopefully is the parking lot right out there.
It better be.
Otherwise, Don, you headed my way.
Yeah, that's right.
We can go out looking for the car because we know where it is.
Absolutely.
So whoever's got it, hey buddy, I'm coming after you.
And so does Tesla.
That's right.
Yep.
So anyway, we're not driving. So what we're going to do is instead we will run my simulator, which will simulate me doing the drive.
Yeah, and the way we did this, we just simply recorded Dale driving, and we recorded it to a SQLite data or a spatial-like database.
Yes.
And now we can just play it back so that, and we're going to accelerate it a bit.
So I'm going to say that my name was FME Meister. Part of this is that we need to know the owner's name of the car.
Yeah.
And let's just take a look. FME Meister right now, he has no email.
Perfect.
So hopefully none comes in.
Okay.
And so we're going to just, how long? Okay, normally this was taken at 1 minute per thing. We got
So probably every 20 seconds, you think?
Let's do 20. Let's do 22. It just happened that way.
Well, we
So-
split the difference. I couldn't decide between.
So we're going to do every 22 seconds. So we're really going to be driving 3 times as fast as we really were.
That's right. So people should look out.
So hang on.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you see how easy that is. Okay.
So what this is now doing, and I hope it's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Yep. It's sending. Basically, it's pretending that we're driving along.
It's
This.
pointing to a different server there, though, buddy.
What's that? EC. EC is the right one.
Oh, you're right.
I know. I was worried about
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
We're using the East Coast server. I'm using a transformer called the decelerator. FME is so darn fast that sometimes you run data through the decelerator to slow it down,
That's
and
right.
it's slowing it down by whatever that delay was.
Yeah, 22
And
seconds.
so,
Okay.
have we done one yet?
Yep, we have.
Right. And so what I can do, just to kind of show the folks that we're up to something worthwhile, is if I look here at my job history on this FME server,
There
I
you
can
go.
tell that stuff is happening.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So now we're going to look at, I guess, the workspace that shows how to write it to a database soon.
yes, should we just go ahead and do that? Because
Yeah.
that's one of the most interesting things, really.
Yeah.
So I got to be careful here not to close. Okay, I want to write the location to the database.
Yeah. So you remember in that workspace Dale just showed us, what it was doing was an FME server notifier was publishing to the topic called Tesla, and what happens now is this workspace is triggered, which basically just takes the JSON that's passed in, parses it using the JSON all new JSON flattener.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about the JSON flattener in 2013 is you don't have to have it followed by an attribute exposer, so it's just right within the
Right.
same thing.
So these are all the attributes that are going to come out of there
Yeah.
about battery range and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we're going to make sure that the car is actually going.
That's right.
And
And then we grab its
lat long, fix up
and-
our date and time.
and write it to a PostGIS database.
And should we take a look? So what Don has done before is that he went ahead and published this to an FME server.
Easy.
Right. So this is how one makes the connection from a desktop to a server. You go ahead and
Yeah.
publish.
Yeah.
And whoops, I don't know what I got wrong here. Let's see, is this right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not.
Free the FME.
Maybe it isn't. Yeah, it is. Okay. So they all know your password now.
Oh well, that's okay.
So anyway, then we would replace this and say, yeah, write that to the database. So I think that's up there running.
Yeah.
And let's take a look at the database.
Okay.
Should we try that?
Let's go.
So we could see if anything's actually happening. We should have
Yeah.
collected a few points of data
Find out.
thus far. So if we open this up, I've got to go PostGIS, and
And this PostGIS, remember, is running in the cloud, so this is not locally. And one of the nice things about running in the cloud is that you don't. It's actually spoiled me because now I never install databases or anything on my machines. I just have the bare minimum FME there. And,
Hey.
Look at that.
oh yeah, we got some points going.
That's awesome.
And if I hit
Sure,
this,
it's too bad that it doesn't have a background map. I know.
yes, I know. Well,
Yeah.
we live in wait.
Yeah.
So you can see here my battery. I'm slowly sucking up some juice, and we're looking good.
Okay.
We're looking good.
Awesome.
Not going very fast. These are these miles an hour?
I think they're miles an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So okay, so we're writing to the database, and we're driving.
Yep.
All right. So we got this system going.
Yep.
As the car is driving, stuff's
Yep.
getting poked to the database.
Yep.
Now, at the end of the day, it would be nice to get a map of all the places
Where your
that
car's
me
been.
or if Stephanie had the keys or somebody had the keys where they went.
That's right. That's
So
right. And so the nice thing is now that we have the Tesla user, we can do that.
yes.
If we're writing the points to the database, we simply will schedule a job every night. It'll run and send you an email.
Right. So do we take a look at that?
Let's have a quick look. Again, the workspace is very, very simple.
So here we go.
Yep. And this one is using more web services. So this one is reading the database we just wrote.
So let me just crank that up
Yeah.
so they can see it all the way down in Australia.
Yep. So we have the same table.
We're reading it from
Yeah,
that table.
Yep. We sorted. I'm not. If I was a database whiz, I probably could get them coming out sorted. But I'm an FME guy, so I
Yes.
do everything in FME.
See, Don didn't use the SQL creator where he
No.
could go and then write any complicated SQL statement he wanted.
That would be
That's what you didn't do.
That's right. And that's about as complicated as I get just looking at that window.
So anyway, the first thing he does is he reads it and adds it to an archive so he can spy on all the places I've ever driven.
That's right. That's right.
The
That's right.
second thing he does is send one copy down here to the bottom where he sets up an attribute called a DB operation called delete, which blows away that record from the original.
Yeah, because I don't want to know, because each day I want that table reset.
Right.
And then I use our point connector we just saw with the sort.
Third copy, he's going to sort and then connect.
Right.
And then he does this interesting thing. He goes into this guy here, which is the geometry extractor that gets geometry into an attribute.
That's right.
And there's a whole pile. How do you say? I think you say a load or heap. In Australia, you say a heap?
A heap.
I think so.
A great heap, I think.
A heap. A heap of options here
That's
that,
right.
that we can use to pull the geometry off the feature and into an attribute.
And there's just a load of XML variants there, and JSON variants. And there's a new one called encoded polyline, which is how Google Map Static API wants you to extract your geometry.
So then, having got that geometry in as a Google string,
Yep.
he goes ahead and he
and
builds a URL that glues together.
another REST call to a
Yep.
different web service. Yeah.
Looks like he's going to go with red or something like that.
Yep.
And here's where that goes.
Yeah.
And then lastly, we go to our friends at Google
And we just
using a fetcher.
because what this API, what this REST call does is it returns to me an image, a map image. And so what the fetcher does is we'll execute that web call, and then it stores the resulting data in a file.
Then we're writing it out to a temporary file.
Yeah.
And then we ask FME server to send an email.
That's right. That's right. And if you open this mail formatter,
Yes.
you will see, and you click on there, this is how I send an email. I basically specify who the email is going to, so I'm sending it to FME Meister. I specify the subject. I kind of type that in. And then notice the attachment. I attach the file that I just fetched.
Yes.
And
So there it is. But we don't want to run that right now because we only run that at the end of each day. So we have to
well,
remember.
it's almost the end of the day, so that's good.
We don't have to wait long anyway.
That's right.
But what we can do is show over here that on FME server there is a scheduling thing.
Yep.
And with any luck at all, here it is. That thing is scheduled to run at 2 a.m.
Yep.
And it's green.
That means it's enabled.
Right. So, but we can manually do this at the end.
That's
We don't have to wait till 2 a.m.
We don't have to.
Okay,
wait.
good.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't be that late for our friends in
It would be
Australia.
lunchtime.
Yeah, probably. So they wouldn't have to wait. All right. So that's that one.
Yep.
We've shown this.
Yep. Yep.
And this is the kind of output you
That's
get.
right. That's right. This is showing a map. I faked out the Tesla.
Yeah.
And so I drove to Kamloops. And if anybody wants to know where Kamloops is, it's beyond hope.
Yes. That's a British Columbia joke. This is the route that we are driving right now with the car.
That's right.
So at the end of the talk, with luck, we'll see a map like
That's
that.
right. That's
All right. So now we've also stepped into a new thing where maybe you are a fan of the car
And
and
you-
you want to know when the car is nearby.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the car, so I want to know where the car is nearby.
Yes. So how does this work, Don?
Yeah, so this is our notification architecture diagram. And basically, with FME server and its notification topics, you can think of protocols as the formats of FME server. And so what we've done is we've made it very easy for people to get data into FME server. So you see email. Email is actually a very popular one. So you could email data into FME server, and the FME server could do something with the data and the attachments, the body, whatever you want, and they could even email back. We also have JMS there, which is a Java messaging service. Plug it into things like IBM WebSphere. And you'll see some other ones on the output side, Apple.
So that's like wherever, what do I do with my phone?
It's right there.
Okay, yeah.
Right there.
So it
And,
could
and
get alerts.
Google GCM. So if you have Apple devices or if you have Google devices, you're able to send stuff there too.
Yes. So what we're going to do here, if people are interested, there's a whole video that Don did about notifications.
That's right.
That you can watch.
Yeah.
And we have two apps that are meant really as demonstrations, as samples. If somebody wants to take these and fine-tune them for specific things, you can. But more generally, you could grab these and install them and do things right now.
Yeah, like we did here. Yeah.
Yes.
And of course, we support both Apple and Google Android devices.
Yes.
No plans for BlackBerry at this point.
Or Windows 8.
Or Windows 8. But
Windows
because
Phone,
it's all
whatever it
done
is.
with an API, others could add it for us.
Sure. So how this works is that when you install the app, you say, I'm interested in the Tesla off of this website.
Yeah.
And then it causes a workspace to run. So when you're building these mobile FME server interactions, all the logic really is in workspaces.
That's right. That's right. It's a very thin client.
So we can grab that off of there.
So while Dale's finding that, so now what can be happening is we have the Tesla cars moving, and we have the people who are interested in the Tesla cars, they're moving too. And so all this information, as all these updates go into FME server is tracking where the Tesla cars are. It's also tracking where all the people interested in the Tesla car are, and doing real-time mashing of data, spatial data joins, that kind of thing, to generate notifications.
Because this is going to write into this table called Tesla subscriber. These are people that want to know when they're near the Tesla.
These are people who don't have a Tesla but really wish they did.
And they're going to run out and take a look.
That's right, when everyone goes by.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what this is about. And if we look in here, that's where the magic happens.
And
but
this,
we don't need to look in there today.
No.
So we're basically keeping a database of where people that have this FME mobile app are.
Yes.
That's what that part is.
Yeah.
So if we hop back here, oh yeah, now we got to say when the car is moving, how are we going to tell them?
That's right.
That's this one here. So this is going to be set up to fire every time the car moves.
That's right. So we're doing two things now when the car moves. First thing is we're writing it to a database. But the beauty of topics is you can have as many different actions to one event as you want. So this is another completely parallel work stream that's going to take the same input data, but now it's going to do something different. What this one's going to do is simply do a simple overlay against the database where the fans are, and then send a notification.
So once again, we're flattening out the JSON that came from the Tesla. We're making sure that it's for the car, and then we're making a point. But here's the magic. We go out to the database using the feature reader transformer. And what we say is we're going to the PostGIS database, and let me just change this, because I think I can probably go to the next screen. And with luck,
there you go.
we say query from the database, and anywhere where that point intersects things that are in the database, then we'll do the right thing.
That's right.
So that's what we're doing.
And you can see again how few transformers this is. So this is, before with FME, if you had a workflow and you wanted to make it do something else, you had to add it to the same workflow. Now with this whole topic-driven approach, message-driven approach, you can have many different workspaces all on one particular message.
Right. And so once this transformer comes back, what we get flowing through here are all the people that were close by to the car.
That's right.
And so to them, we're going to go and poke them using that notification service out to their phones.
Exactly.
So that would just work. In fact, Don's phone is probably buzzing away. Where is your phone? It's off screen right now.
It's over here.
I hope it's been buzzed. Should I call you?
I lost my phone.
Well, that's going to...
here it is.
There we go.
There we go.
I lost my partner.
Look at all the alerts I got. I can show people.
Go walk right up there, like a 3D. Just swipe one, Don. Whoops. Swipe one and show them.
And pull that down. And the alert. And then you can even see there's a map there.
Okay, hold it up there. You're a little higher. So that's what happened, and in there it says there was a Tesla nearby, basically.
That's right. There's a Tesla nearby. It even has a topic, Tesla proximity notice. The Tesla owned by FME Meister is nearby.
Right.
And normally when that happens, I run out into the street. And,
well, you almost did today.
I almost did today.
That happens. So anyway, all of that's happening, and again, no new code was written to pull this off. So let's just review, shall we? What's happening is we got this topic or relay called Tesla. When the car moves, we get information. We also have people that are subscribing that want updates. We're storing the location in a database, and then every time the car moves, we're also potentially sending information.
That's right. That's right.
Back out.
That's right. So we have 3 workspaces there.
Yep.
So, and that's exactly how these event-driven workflows work. You have one input piece of data. You can have as many different workspaces run on that data as you want.
Right. Wow, that's pretty swanky.
That's swanky.
Look at
There's
that.
a word I haven't heard before.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Okay.
wait, there's more.
That's
So
right.
Now this is the part I like.
But you're in your car so much, you get hungry.
I'm not hungry tonight, but often when I gave this talk, I really was hungry.
That's right. That's right.
And so the thing is, we can do other things like notify the driver when he's near something, he or she is near something of interest.
That's right.
And so there's a couple things. If you're near a customer,
That's interesting.
or maybe some food,
Yeah. Or maybe you
so-
want to take the customer out for food.
doubly good.
Yeah.
So there we go. So how is this going to work? Well, turns out our customer database is in Salesforce, and so we can get that. We can read that maybe,
Yeah. In 2012, that was a big problem.
but not so much
No,
anymore.
because cloud's a theme. You can see it at the bottom there.
Cloud is a theme,
Yeah.
and in particular, we have these many formats now.
300, over 303.
That's right. And there's a whole bunch. Here's the new ones that were added for FME 2013.
Yep.
Don likes this one.
Kunta GML, because I'm an old guy, and it reminds me of the movie Roots.
Well, see, I think
And
it's a Star Trek tie-in because LeVar Burton
Well, there you go. That's how you tied all the way back to Roots.
and
knew
Star
that
Trek
Roots
movie
was-
is coming out right away.
Who knew that Roots was actually related to Star Trek?
There's a close tie-in there.
There is.
So that's Don's favorite. The
Yep.
Finns have their own GML. I don't know. I like the Ingress stuff just
Yeah,
because it
yeah.
makes me feel young again.
Yeah, geohash is interesting. So if you have to produce or read geohashes, we can do that as
Yep.
well.
So Crowd Spatialite really is
Yep.
good. Sun Raster also makes me feel young again. So there's, everything. If you're a point cloud person, the E57, there's a few point cloud ones buried in this list. The Rigel ones.
Yeah, OData is interesting. That's another cloudy thing.
Yeah. I think for this audience, we could say Z plus F.
That's right, not Z.
Our American friends say Z plus F.
And they don't even think, if you say Z, they don't understand what you're saying. It's not
Oh,
like
Zed,
it's
you
cute.
mean?
Yeah, Zed.
Oh, it's big trouble for
Yeah,
me.
they look at you like Zed. What's Zed?
Well, because the problem is on the world tour, I'm checking into these American hotels. They say, "What's your name?" I say, "Dale Lutz, L-U-T-Z." They go, "Huh?"
Yeah.
And so I got big trouble every day. So
So then they
Mr.
write it
Zed,
down as
they write
Zed.
Z-E-D is what
Yeah.
they write Z-E-D down, and they say we don't have a reservation for you.
Dale
And-
Lutz Zed.
There's no Dale Lutz said here. So
Yeah.
anyway, but Salesforce was in the list.
Yeah, and PostGIS is a big deal. PostGIS 2.0 with the raster, so
Yes.
that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots to do.
So what's going to happen is we're going to load these PostGIS things, these Salesforce things into our PostGIS.
Yeah.
But we got a problem because we have addresses in
And
Salesforce.
we need lat long.
Right.
Yeah,
No worries, mate. We can always use some form of geocoding.
that's right, as a web service. And the
Yes.
reason that one's flashing is because they did it themselves.
That's right. And that's the one that actually we used for this.
Yeah.
But some folks down there might be interested in ArcGIS Online.
Yeah.
And I was just today playing with the ArcGIS Online geocoder in
Yeah,
FME.
yeah. Is there Spectrum one too, or is that only
That's the Pitney Bowes is worldwide as well.
Yep.
So I know Brett knows the Pitney Bowes things probably, or at least in the previous life he did.
That's right.
But some of you may be ArcGIS Online customers. A little bit of a hint there. We're doing a bunch of points of it. Actually, I'm going to ask for a show of hands there. How many there are ArcGIS Online customers? Anybody down there have that? No. Well, if you did, you could.
You would be able to use this too.
That's right.
There you go.
All right. So anyway, let's look at how we can do Salesforce stuff. Oh, there was 4.
Okay.
You are in for a treat
Yeah.
with the future FME, and that's all we'll say. But watch for SP2 or 3 of FME 2013.
You don't want to edit this one.
No. Whoa, you're right. Yikes. Okay.
Okay.
So we want to do this.
Yeah.
So we're going to do Salesforce import.
Yep. And again, very, very simple workspace. Because basically, now when we were showing off at how easy it is to add other than, but really it's read the data, one geocode, and then set the coordinate system, buffer it, and out you go.
That's right.
it's really
And so I'm going to just make sure, does this thing, I'm going to redirect to inspection.
Okay.
I think I can run this. I didn't actually try this, but I wanted to show one thing here that we did that's a pretty powerful new feature. And that is, we're using this geographic bufferer. That is something that is available. It'll buffer things that were lat long.
Yeah, or anything. 'Cause
Right.
Yeah.
And you just give it the units. But my story here is that there's one customer who every time he gets together with me, he buys me a milkshake. And that's our friend David Van Blankenstein of EMF.
Right. That's,
And so if I'm close to him, I'd go further out of my way.
that's right.
So how can I do that? Well, in this geographic buffer, or for that matter, anywhere in FME, I can set up in FME 2013 SP2, no, 1.
One.
I can set up something called a conditional value, which means that it'll compute the value using an if-then-else test.
Right.
So I'm saying if the company name contains EMF, then I would go 800 whole meters out of my way.
Wow.
Otherwise, for everybody else, I'm sorry, I'm only going
You
250
there, I
meters.
just want to see how you did that.
Click and where?
Just down there. Oh, okay. Oh, you
It
did
brings
a
up
really
this
nice.
fancy builder
So
thing.
I didn't have to know how to what to type.
Not at all.
Oh, good.
It's a fancy builder thing.
Because that'd be like code if I had to know.
Right. And so I'm basically setting this up. So this used to have to require a few other transformers upstream.
Yeah.
No longer.
That's right.
So if we go ahead and run this,
yeah.
I think I did. Yeah,
And the geographic buffer is also a good example of a transformer that lives in the store. It's free.
Yeah.
It doesn't ship with the product, but if you type buffer, you're going to see geographic buffer. You just pick it, hit enter, down it comes, it's installed, and now you're ready to go.
So we're awaiting Salesforce to send us our results. Down it comes. Now we're doing a bunch of Yahoo geocoding, which we're allowed to do. We can geocode like Yahoo's as long as we don't save it in a database.
Right.
It's against their terms of service.
That's right.
So now that I'm in here, here we go.
Yep. There you go.
And there they all are, all these
Yep.
wonderful things. And if I go back to my map view, the problem is I got all of British Columbia in here. So let's see, we zoom in there.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
There we go.
Can you see that down in Australia? Yeah. So there's the big guy. That should be our EMF, and he lit up, right?
Yep.
Where's his name?
There
he is.
Yep.
There we go. And then these little guys, I'm not driving so far out of my way for
That's
them.
right. You go
It's
through
kind of nice how this is the fifth option.
Right.
It means when you've exhausted all other options, you can go with those guys.
No, I mean, no, only 4.
So you try your first 4 options, and if that fails, you go for them.
Company, the 6th option isn't very busy.
Well, unless these guys don't pan out. But we think they're kind of funny to have in our database. So that's the deal. And now this is the kind of thing you might set up to run every night on the scheduler.
That's right.
And refresh your points of interest. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
And, now, what if I'm getting hungry here, Don?
That's right. So now another thing we added with FME is the ability to directly read data from an FTP site.
Right.
And so that's really the key point here is that you'll notice when Dale pulls up that workspace that we're not reading data on our system. The City of Vancouver has a website with FTP data, and we're going to read the data directly from the FTP site. So this one you're using food vendors, I think.
Right. So this is the Vancouver site.
There it is there. And we're going to go for Excel.
Okay.
Because you know why we're going by it for Excel, don't you?
Because it's close to XML?
It's just missing the M. It's so close.
So if I go here and go over to my favorite viewing tool, and I'm going to say this is Excel data, and I'm going to just paste this in.
And go to the front so people can see what you're doing here.
Look at I'm going to go right to the FTP.
And what if that was a zip file?
No worries.
No worries. It would.
No worries, mate.
No
It'll
worries.
be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you didn't even look at the. Okay.
It just works. I don't know why.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Well, it's FME. That's why.
That's
so here we go.
Yeah.
And there we can see the location of a lot of different.
They update this data quite regularly. Because there's only used to be 13. Now there's 17.
Right. So we can get donaires, falafels, Asian cuisine, a whole bunch of good things. My son would call these roach mobiles. These are the kind of things that just pull up and have a license to be on the side of the street.
Like an ice cream vendor.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but these guys have a lat long, so we don't need to geocode them.
Nope.
So if we...
so we can just buffer them, doing much like we did for this thing. And you'll notice we're writing to the same table. We decided to create a table called points of interest. And then we just type the same points of interest.
Here's the street vendors.
So now, you know, if we think about what we had to do in the old days, you'd have to find an FTP site, download the file. If it was zipped, unzip it, and then use it. Well, how do you know you had the latest and greatest? You didn't. You just had to decide periodically when you're going to download the latest. Download it again. Now you're always directly reading. So that goes, again, another way of exploiting data that's in the cloud. It doesn't have to be a web service.
Right. Because as you can see, I've got the FTP site as my source data set here.
Right.
And so again, it's really the same as the last example, only we've just added the word food vendor in there.
That's right. That's right.
So we won't bother running that. But what we can do is show you how does this all work as the car is driving. So we showed you 2 ways we're loading things in, the food and the customers.
That's right.
And so now when the car is driving,
we have yet another workspace. So
that's going to be the 3rd or 4th one.
Yeah.
How many we got going?
4.
This is the 4th one?
Yeah, because we have the points going to the database, points telling the alerters. Then we have another one with the registering where the alerters are,
Yes.
because they're also going to the same
That's
topic.
right.
And now this one. Yeah.
So what we're doing again is figuring
It's all
out what
Jason.
we're doing.
It's all
And
Jason.
again, we hit this, use a feature reader to hit the table in PostGIS that holds where all the customers and the food is.
Yeah.
And then if we find a match, we're going to go ahead and build our email,
Yeah, just like before.
right?
Yeah.
And mail me that that hey, it's near. And so what's coming in FME in the future is the ability to send a text message. That would be
Yes.
something else we could do.
Yes.
To say, hey, Dale, their milkshake guy is nearby.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I don't know, but it's possible I've received some emails.
Oh,
And it has worked.
look at that. EMF. Yeah.
Yes.
Gnosis.
I can go get my milkshake. I was
Yeah,
told.
and you know how to phone them. You
So
can
these-
click right there, and you can call them right away there.
Look at about 9 minutes ago, we drove by where his area was. There was lots and lots of food.
Yeah.
Boy, I was really close to all these places in downtown
Yeah.
Vancouver. There's lots of places to eat at Roachmobiles downtown.
Yeah.
So that's that. So that's all working.
Yeah.
We're cooking right along here.
Absolutely.
All right, we did
just showed
this.
that. Yeah. So it could be HTTP, FTP. So there you go.
We did loading the food data.
Yeah.
This is how, again, this is the whole thing is hanging in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Whoops. I guess actually that has pretty much ended the live part of our
That's right.
thing. So should we see if our simulator is done running by now?
Sure. Let's go have a look.
Let's see. That's this guy. Nope, he's still running. So we can't. We'll come back when that simulator is done
we have
and
more
send
to
our
talk
email.
about. Yeah.
But we'll now go to looking at sort of a gratuitous set of examples.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're in an electric car. It always rains in Vancouver. The world's oceans are rising.
Yes.
And so I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to, on the news sometimes you see people that's flooded and they try to drive through anyway. Well, I would not advise you to do that in your car.
They probably shouldn't.
Yeah,
So what we're going to do is use FME's new point cloud power
Yeah,
to simulate a severe flood in Vancouver
that's right. And what it would do to your trip.
and what it would do to my trip.
Yeah.
So let's do that. And here's a list of all the new transformers in FME.
Yeah, I really like the JSON ones.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
you do. There's another one coming called a JSON Updater.
It is, and it's a
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah. We got map text. We're going to talk about that later, though.
Yeah.
But the one we're going to focus on now is this thing called the Point Cloud Expression Evaluator. And so
it's
I want to.
close to being done because it's just screaming by.
Okay, we're heading back to our office.
Yeah.
So I want to ask the folks there, how many of you work with point clouds down under? So I can't. So I see a few hands going up.
There. Yeah. Yeah.
So if Brett can maybe give Roger the number to feed that back to me. Eight. Wow, that's a lot. So FME has a very good point cloud subsystem. We continue to refine that. I hope you've had a chance to use it. If you haven't, check out our webinar archive. That's probably the best place to see a good review of all the things. But new in FME 2013 was this wonderful point cloud expression evaluator.
That's right.
And so this is the kind of output that we're going to end up creating.
Yeah.
And so let's go.
Yeah.
And
We're also going to highlight something else that's much improved.
are we?
You didn't.
I did the right one. I was nervous, but
Okay.
all right. So we're driving through the flood zone.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Okay. This one's going to go.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah.
All right. This one is not written by Don and I. It was written by Dimitri. And as such, it has many more transformers.
Than 10. That's
Yes.
right. That's right.
So
But he does a much better job. If you can do something demonstrable with 10, but if you use more, you can get better.
right. So he's reading a point cloud of Vancouver in E57 that does not have any color.
That's right.
No RGB. He's reading a raster image of all of Vancouver.
Yep.
He's also reading the Tesla tracks
Yep.
that were in the Spatial Light database,
Yep.
the points,
And the roads.
and the road network of Vancouver.
That's right.
And so what he's doing on the top here is he's using a point cloud component setter that's going to lift the color off of the ECW onto the point clouds.
That's right.
Now we've colorized.
Yep.
Then he's going to go out here, and after all this, where is it? I'm just going to zoom to the end here. We're going to go to this new guy called the Point Cloud Expression Evaluator.
Yep.
And the actual annotation here is probably as good as anything to look. Whoop.
This is too fast.
Yes. It lets us do math on a point-by-point basis.
For every point in the point cloud.
Really, really fast. And we can even do if-then-else things. So he's basically saying if the Z value, the Z value is less than some threshold, then what we do is we're going to color it. by tinting it blue.
Yes.
So we knock a bit off the red, knock a bit off the green, and pump up the blue.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do. Any place, so it's very, very fast pass, altering those things. But you can make any kind of alteration on any part of a point cloud.
Yeah.
So I've seen people do things like, say, if we're within some kind of an area, then we're going to flatten all the Z values to the elevation of a lake, for example.
Perfect. Yeah.
These kinds of things.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing, Don, I know you want to talk about the other thing he's doing down here.
Which is the shortest pathfinder. In the old days with FME, in FME 2012, the shortest pathfinder could just take 1 from 2 in a network. Okay, so now what he's doing is he has the entire road network for Vancouver, and that goes in the network once.
Yep.
And these points that are coming out of our Tesla are really just point samples. So they have no knowledge of all of the road network. So what he's doing to make sure that we follow the road network is he's using the shortest pathfinder, and it will use each pair of nodes along the road and will match them to the road network. And
Right. So really what he's done is he's taken a whole bunch of the point samples, connected them into a line, and called that the from to.
That's right.
And it'll snap our path to the road
shortest
network.
path along the road.
Yeah. So anyway, shortest pathfinder, lots of changes in FME this time around.
Hugely powerful.
And so the net result is this, which would be kind of shows that it wouldn't be good if we really flooded Vancouver by 15 meters.
It wouldn't be.
And let's see, how do I, boy, it's been a while since whoop!
Click on that guy.
Yeah, that's my problem. Okay, so let me zoom back to extents. There we go. And let's zoom her in a little bit. And let's do this rotation. And now we can tip her up that way, and we can see that this part here would not have been good to do. Now, notice how he's actually created these. This is every point we had a measurement. He's creating a stacked little yellow box. And there we go.
Good.
So this shows that we can quickly simulate floods, but I'm sure you can come up with far more interesting things to do with the point cloud expression evaluator than that.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it with that one.
Now we're going to talk about
yeah,
reporting to Dad.
So
when I was on the road, it was report to Dawn.
Yes.
Yes.
About my driving.
Yes.
So my son is 15 and soon will be driving, and so I thought this would be a useful thing at the end of each day. We might be able to produce some sort of report to go over, to review together, and maybe
Have some quality time.
That's
really.
right, and highlight areas of concern in terms of
like there are some areas of concern.
Well,
yeah.
We'll
anyway,
see.
So
we want to highlight these areas of concern about maybe excessive speed or
acceleration,
these types of things.
That's right.
Driving on too low a battery.
Going the wrong way down a one-way street.
All these things we could do, but we need to have good labels if we're going to do that. And so I know that actually Australia was the home of some of the pioneers of this transformer. In terms of, I think friends and Brett will know for sure, but I believe it was folks up in Darwin that originally worked with MapText a long time ago, and finally, what's that? Armadale. I've never heard of it.
Wow.
But
okay.
I thought he was going to say Armageddon there for a second. That would be a bad name for a place.
It would.
So anyway, folks up in Armadale that did that, maybe that isn't even a place, and Brett's making me say that.
He's just making it up.
He might be making me say that, so I'm not.
Right.
I mean, Australia, they did that, and so finally, it's now properly an FME.
Yeah.
And so let's take a look. It's an extra cost plugin, and actually, Australia is also the home of, I believe, the first people to buy this thing once it was released as well. So thank you, Australia. So you get to define your layers. Brett might, I'm not sure what lightning talks you have coming later today, but if Brett doesn't do the lightning talk on this, it is on the archive or the video archive from Vancouver's thing, so you can see more details of all the great things this can do. We're doing a bit more of an advanced example here, actually, and we're going to end up producing this sort of thing.
That's right. And then we're going to talk.
So we should go and fire it up.
Okay.
So which one is it? This one.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and run it while we're
Okay.
chatting, and then
Okay.
we'll talk through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's.
And again, Dimitri's he's a pretty uptight guy. He was once told me that I was no cartographer.
Yes.
And again, he's really uptight. I don't care if my routes go right through the middle of buildings, but Dimitri again used that shortest path
Yes.
thing.
But really, the magic of this one is over here. He glues together the label, and so I think you can probably see if I zoom this up a wee bit more. Let's zoom it way up. Okay, here we go. Zoom her up. So he's padding it together, and this actually shows an interesting thing. In the new string concatenator, there's a bunch of string operations.
Yes, pad
So
right.
let's take a look at that. you can see that we have all these new string operations, like lowercase and padding and so on. So you can drag those out there and do different operations right in there when you're concatenating things together. It's actually very powerful.
Yeah. Now you're going to show them the map text transformer itself?
Yes. So where is it? It must be down over here.
There it is.
So this thing here, when you pop it down originally, it has no input ports, and then you go and you define all the different things you want to label. And so he's got quite a heap of things being labeled here. And then you go into the map text rules, and you start to say how they're to be labeled.
Yeah. And if you know where you're going, so pop back there, you can actually specify the target format.
Yes.
So if you know you're using this, for example, with ArcGIS, you specify go to ArcGIS, and Map Text Labeler understands all these different types of labeling and will do an even better job. Here we're using FME generic, and that's good if you're going anywhere else, really.
Yeah, or up to our viewer.
Now, what if I'm going to PDF? PDF is kind of like...
It's interesting. ArcGIS and PDF tend to, or seem to have the same font metrics, so they're really separated at birth.
So,
but the other ones, Map Info, there's a specific font metric for, and other ones as well.
Yeah. So let's go have a look.
Roller all the way over here. Oh, this is the part.
This shows the power of Map Text Labeler combined with FME.
Yes, because actually we had NASA actually, so this is rocket science.
Back to the space theme.
Wanted a map made of these soil samples. We'll say they're from Mars, but we don't really know that.
No.
But it would be fun if they were from Mars. And so they wanted these groups of labels that had all these readings together, and then within those label blocks, they wanted bits and pieces turned red or made bold, depending on criteria. So here, for example, we're making the street name bold by post-processing the label. And this one here, we're checking if its speed
is greater than...
If it's speed and it's greater than 40 miles an hour.
Which is about 60 kilometers an hour.
Which is moving her right along in Vancouver.
Especially if you're going over a bridge,
for example. Then we'll make her red. And so this actually tells us we must have three spots.
So those would be areas of discussion.
Yes, of concern. We're highlighting these for discussion. And similarly over here, we're coloring the battery level by the amount of, by how much percentage of battery we got left. And we're using the test filter, which is good practice, and naming our output ports using mixed case port names.
Very good.
Which is very fun. All right, so
now
let's look at the result. There it is. So we produced this from the open data of Vancouver, and all of this was done in FME. And let's go zooming into downtown.
So this is vector data we're looking at here,
you betcha.
just to be clear.
And here we are downtown.
Wow, nice labels. I know you're kind of avoiding one particular area.
Yes, I am actually. So if we look, let's follow the route.
Yeah, here we go.
Route or route.
Oh, look at that.
Okay.
61 miles an hour on the Granville Street Bridge.
I think Dimitri is framing me. I think that this data has been altered.
That's right.
But in any case, that would, if one was going to open it up, that would be a good place.
That would be a very good
place. If you were, for example, to show off that when you're going up a ramp, you can accelerate.
That's right.
This would be the right place to do that.
That's right. But it'd also be good for your braking.
Yes.
You're going to have to stop pretty darn quick on the other side there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And cornering.
Yep. And so anyway, the point is that these labels, these little blocked labels, don't bang into each other.
That's right. You can see the transit lines there, the parks.
Yeah.
Yeah. The main streets.
It's following around.
Yeah.
But even down here, notice how it's pretty crowded in here, and they managed to just all avoid each other.
And those yellows are the spots where we actually had a reading.
Yes.
And you can see how with the shortest path now it actually does follow.
Follow things, yep.
Very nice.
So it's beautifully labeled, and so that's the kind of thing you can do with the map text labeler.
Very
good.
It's
it's really quite impressive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's good.
Oh yeah. Now one last quick demo, and we're not actually too bad off.
Well, we started late, so we can't be punished for that.
That's right. So we just wanted to show one last example that that shows how we can write zip files. So this is the summary download.
That's right, because we talked about we could read zip files.
Yes. So in this case, what we're going to do is again read the JSON, and we're going to use the all new statistics calculator to calculate an average speed of our whole time. And the stats calculator will put out one feature that's a summary of all the statistics.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to go out to Excel here, and that'll go into a speed tab or table or tab sheet.
Sheet, that's what it is, yeah.
That's right. And the complete ones will sit and wait until all the stats are calculated, and then the original data will go out and have the stats added to it.
Right.
And so then I can go to a test filter where I'll say, if the speed for this record is greater than the average, then we'll put that into a faster sheet, and we'll make another sheet of slower.
That's right.
All right? And the cumulative is a new thing that I'm not using here, but basically, as each feature comes in, the statistics thus far are added to it.
Okay.
So you can do a running total with that, that sort of thing. That's all new. So that's my Excel, but I also, because we haven't done anything with ArcGIS, I feel sad for it. So we're going to do a file geodatabase as well.
Okay.
Now, the fun thing comes here, because I'm going to go, whoops, not my source, whoop, whoop, whoop. I'm going to go to my output.
Hey, I like the little icon there.
Yeah, because I am going to write it to output.zip and then put it in there. You know, I should maybe make sure that there is no output.zip here.
Get rid of it.
If there was, no, there isn't. Looks like I cleaned it up. Okay, so, but you know, I'm even going to show off more, because within the zip, I'm going to make a subdirectory. So I'm going to call this one my Excel subdirectory.
Yep.
And so basically, I can put a .zip anywhere in my output path, and FME will then do the right thing. And when I use a multi-writer,
you can have multiple things on the path.
And I can put them wherever I want. This one I'm going to put into FGDB. All right.
Okay.
So now I will go and run
And the zip,
this.
to be clear, the zip was ahead of both of those.
Yes.
Yes.
Ooh, stuff happened. And so
Wow, that
with
was
luck,
fast.
oh, there it is. And
Wow.
I'm quite happy to see that.
Yeah.
And so now I can open up my output file, and I see I've got a subdirectories in there for things.
Yep.
And we've seen folks make these, like if you're doing data distribution, you could make an index.html at the top using a text line writer.
Yep.
And write out some, maybe the XML templater to make some beautiful HTML.
Yeah.
Or as Stuart would say, HTML. And then in there have some of your other things like images and things down underneath. So in this Excel, with luck, there it is. I'm going to drag that out to my desktop because we can take a look at it. And I'm going to hop back here, and inside the file geodatabase, looks like one.
Yeah.
Oh boy, isn't that exciting to see all that stuff?
Oh, that's great.
So we won't bother looking at that. But we will take one last look at that Excel. So I'll go to my desktop here, and whoops, it must be up here, something about speeds.xls, drag it out. There we go. I think it looks good.
Yep. There you
So
go.
there I've got the faster speeds and the slower speeds.
Yep.
So we can kind of sort them here. And there's the faster ones, which we can sort them as well. Well, we had her opened up pretty wide open there, wherever that is.
That's right.
And then here's the nice summary of all of our stats for the whole thing.
That's right. Very good.
So I think that pretty much concludes our thing, except where are we going to run the
We got to run our. We want to
daily
see our
email.
map. We want to see our map. So we're going to go and run that under the run that job under Tesla. There we go.
It's number 3, right, Don?
Yeah, it was number 3.
So I'm going to run this thing. That's that workspace that'll send us an email at the end of the day about where we went. And so
there we go. And so now you should have an email.
The Meister. Whoop, come on, Meister.
There it
Yes,
is.
always happy to see that. And here's the Google static map that we showed earlier.
Yeah.
And if we view that, we can see that
There it is.
we went into Vancouver and came home.
Yep. I'm very good.
I think we're done.
We're pretty good.
So here's this conclusion, Don. I hope you've seen that FME 2013 can provide a powerful platform for you to quickly manipulate and transform your data.
Even if it lives in the cloud.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cloud deployment through FME server on the cloud makes
All the
it even
data was in
easier.
the cloud. There was no data that lived locally. Salesforce was in the cloud.
Yep.
The FTP data of the food was in the cloud.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I like to say that whether your data is old or new, static or live, CAD or cloud, FME 2013 should make it easy for you to get at it and maximize its value without ever writing a single line of code.
There you go. There you go.
And the fine print says that because of this presentation, we're able to write off on our income tax returns the entire cost of the Model S as a business expense. And for that, we thank you very deeply. So I think that's it. I don't know, are we going to do a few questions and answers?
Okay.
So, Brett, if you want to quiz us about anything.
Hey guys, can you hear me all right?
Lovely.
Excellent. All right, so we might ask the room if anyone's got any questions of Don and Dale. That's probably...
The 2013 mission because of point cloud was it airborne or terrestrial? Does it support terrestrial?
Did you hear that?
Nope.
Nope.
No, okay. The support of the terrestrial versus airborne for point cloud.
There's no problem for us. We treat them the same. The only question would be what format they might be in. But for example, that Rigel thing is a terrestrial one. Mm-hmm. And actually we somewhere today, perhaps down there, Brett will talk about CN's work, and that's a case where they're dragging LiDAR around on a train.
Yeah.
So we don't really care. The question is just what format it was in to begin with, and we are always looking to add more formats as well. So if it isn't in a format we can read now, we would add that.
Yeah, I'll top that. We've actually done a couple of pieces with terrestrial in the past as well.
Was that
Yeah.
everything bundled together?
No, that was just having a play around with some terrestrial early on. So, yeah. Any others? Best chance you got to get these two in a room together.
With the so set up a 3D model, do you support formats to print that out in a 3D printer?
Printing the 3D model out to a 3D printer.
Yeah, we haven't actually done that, but I do know what was the company we were talking with. It was OBJ.
Yep.
Was the format they were using?
Yep. And we actually have a 3D model of Zipster too. So if we had a 3D printer,
we wouldn't have to send it to China to get made.
that's right. We could just print it right out. But there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to send a 3D model directly to a printer and just print it.
Actually, those Zipsters that you have there are very well traveled because they came all the way from China to Canada and then back to Australia. So they've
logged them. They have a high carbon footprint.
But on that 3D printer side, we do a bunch of different 3D formats, of which I mentioned OBJ. Collada is another common one. We are working closely with SketchUp as well, and so we're always looking to improve that one too.
Yeah.
And actually Revit, not sure if folks down under are interested in Revit, but we're close to having a Revit reader of sorts that might be of interest to some of you, and please work with Brett. We'd be happy to work with some of you that want to give Revit a spin.
Has Revit come up with anyone? Yeah, there's a couple here. I think that came up at the reseller meeting as well. We had a few there. Someone else had their hand up. Anyone else? They're all stunned.
Okay.
No, guys, thanks for hanging around and doing the presentation. It's fantastic. I'm sure everybody appreciates it. We'll do give the guys a big hand.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, we really appreciate all of you taking the time to spend with us. We know you're all really busy, and we just appreciate it and really enjoy presenting to you.
Yeah, and as well, Australia was one of the early places to really embrace our technology, and so we always have a soft spot for our colonial cousins down there, and so look forward to maybe coming down in person soon enough.
Yep.
All right, thanks very much, and I guess from Vancouver we'll say good day.
Good day.